Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really focused look at web hosting. Specifically, we want to understand why Bluehost is, well, still such a major player for WordPress users, especially now in 2026.
Yeah, and our goal here isn't just another basic review. We know if you're prepping for a meeting or maybe launching something new or even scaling up your WordPress site, you need the key facts fast, like what really makes Bluehost stand out. We're pulling out the core insights on their performance, recent features, basically helping you decide quickly if it's the right engine for your WordPress site.
Exactly. We're trying to cut through all the marketing noise, focus on the technical stuff, the operational factors that keep them competitive, and crucially, how they've kept that official stamp of approval from WordPress.org itself. That recommendation, it's not just a side note, it's really the foundation for a lot of their claims. Okay, let's start right there then. The sources we looked at, they all highlight that official endorsement from WordPress.org. It's front and center. So for someone listening, knowing it's a crowded market, loads of options out there, what does that endorsement actually mean for a new site? Or one that's growing? Is it just about feeling confident?
It's definitely more than just a confidence booster, though it certainly helps there. Think of it as a strong technical assurance. See, when WordPress.org officially recommends a host, it means that provider basically agrees to meet some pretty specific, quite rigorous requirements. We're talking PHP versions, memory limits, resource allocation, everything needed to run the latest WordPress smoothly, securely. It sort of guarantees an optimal starting point. And it forces Bluehost to maintain those standards, which for you means potentially less troubleshooting down the line.
Right, that makes sense. So the endorsement isn't static, it demands ongoing commitment to performance. But let's push back on that a bit. Historically, shared hosting, even the good stuff, has limitations, right? And Bluehost is strongly associated with that model. Now, our sources are really emphasizing a big improvement, improved speed. And they say it's because of a shift to cloud-based infrastructure. Does moving to the cloud genuinely solve that old noisy neighbor problem that often plagues shared hosting? Is it a fundamental fix?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the sources suggest they are tackling it directly. See, traditional shared hosting meant your site shared fixed resources, CPU, RAM, I/O on one physical server, finite capacity. So if some other site on that same server suddenly got slammed with traffic or ran some clunky process, your site suffered. That's the classic noisy neighbor issue. Resource contention. Now, this shift to cloud infrastructure, based on the technical details we have, helps mitigate that. How? By pooling resources dynamically, distributing them across a whole network of virtual servers. This lets Bluehost allocate resources much more fluidly. So while, yes, it's still technically shared, the resource ceiling is way higher. Those bottlenecks caused by fixed limits, they're significantly reduced. The speed improvement isn't just minor, it's a pretty foundational shift in reliability, especially if you're expecting growth or, sudden traffic spikes.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical. Low latency, that dynamic scaling you mentioned, super important for e-commerce or sites with lots of content. You also mentioned reliability. Uptime is, well, it's everything. Are the sources saying this cloud shift is directly linked to the good uptime numbers they're reporting?
Absolutely. Yeah, reliable uptime is fundamentally tied to redundancy, server redundancy. In the old model, if a physical server went down, your site was offline, period, until it was fixed. But with a properly set up cloud infrastructure, if one piece of hardware fails, the virtual resources your site uses can be shifted almost instantly to another machine in the network. Downtime is drastically reduced. The sources indicate Bluehost is leveraging this, making it a much safer bet for serious web projects.
That performance argument is pretty compelling then. Let's switch gears slightly. Usability. Bluehost seems to be targeting both new and growing websites. That's a tricky balance, right? Offering potentially enterprise-level performance, but keeping the interface simple enough for someone just starting out. What essential tools are they bundling to kind of manage that complexity, especially around security and performance?
They definitely seem to recognize that complexity can be a major roadblock to growth. The main way they simplify things seems to be this free security performance stack bundled with most plans. We're talking specifically about including a free CDN content delivery network and free SSL secure sockets layer. Now, for our listener, you probably know what these are, but the key point here is Bluehost bundling them for free and, crucially, automating the setup. That's a competitive edge. Most hosts offer SSL now, sure, but Bluehost has worked on fully automating the integration. And let's face it, today, not having SSL, that's an active penalty from search engines, plus you get those browser warnings, it scares visitors off. By automating the SSL setup, they remove maybe the biggest, most common security hurdle for new users.
And the free CDN. That speeds up content delivery worldwide, right? Which feeds back into that whole cloud performance upgrade we were just talking about. Is the CDN integration also smooth?
That seems to be the whole idea, yes. The sources suggest the configuration is highly streamlined, often minimal user input needed. The CDN caches your static stuff images, CSS files, JavaScript in locations closer to your actual visitors. This cuts down load times dramatically, especially for international traffic or if your audience is spread out. That's huge for keeping users engaged. So by including and integrating these two tools so seamlessly, they're essentially saying their entry level is faster and more secure than what entry level meant maybe 5 years ago.
Okay, that covers getting started. But as the site grows, management becomes the real-time sync. Domain renewals, plugin updates, tweaking caching. It can get overwhelming fast. Information overload. The sources specifically mention recent updates to Bluehost's control panel designed to simplify site management. What concrete examples are they giving? What makes it simpler?
Yeah, this might actually be one of the most significant updates because it directly addresses those user experience pain points. A lot of competitors use control panels based on cPanel. Powerful, yes, but often cluttered, kind of confusing for many users. Bluehost seems to be moving towards its own custom centralized dashboard, key examples mentioned. Simplifying the staging process, that's a big one. Growing sites need to test updates, themes, plugins, core WordPress before pushing them live. The new UI apparently centralizes and streamlines creating a staging site. What used to be a fiddly, multi-step manual process is now more like a one-click action. They've also centralized plugin and theme management, so you can quickly check and update core parts of your site without always diving deep into the WordPress admin area itself. That saves a lot of time on routine maintenance. The goal seems to be function without the usual frustration.
Okay, so we've got performance boosted by the cloud and CDN, and simplicity driven by the UI updates and automated security. But when you have advanced stuff managed simply, good support becomes absolutely critical for when things do go wrong. The sources confirm 24/7 support. Is there any detail on the quality or responsiveness of that support, or is it just stated as available?
The emphasis in the sources is definitely on availability. 24/7, which makes sense given hosting is a global, always-on thing. For the target users, new and growing sites, the crucial factor is often immediacy. If your site breaks at 3 a.m., you need help now. So that 24/7 coverage confirms that immediate access. While the sources don't really dive deep into critiquing, say, individual support agent quality, the sheer availability is positioned as a key safety net. Especially when you're running an increasingly complex site using simplified tools, you need that backstop.
Right. Okay, let's try and pull this all together. We've dug pretty deep into the source material here. Looking broadly at the hosting landscape in 2026, what would you say are the 2 or 3 things really keeping Bluehost competitive, especially against hosts maybe known for niche specialization or just raw power?
Based on what we've reviewed, I'd say their edge really rests on 2 connected pillars. First, it's that combination of authoritative pedigree and performance modernization. The WordPress endorsement gives them that baseline trustworthiness. But the cloud infrastructure investment shows they aren't just coasting. They've modernized to deliver the speed and scalability needed today. That backs up the trust. And second, which is just as vital for the person managing the site, is the total reduction of operational friction. That comes from those bundled automated tools, the free CDN and SSL we talked about, and the updated, simpler control panel. They seem to be systematically removing the setup and maintenance headaches. The idea is to let you focus, 90% of your energy on your actual content and growing your audience, not fighting with technical configurations.
Okay, that brings us to the final question for you, our listener. If you are specifically looking to launch a new or growing WordPress site right now, and your priority is avoiding complexity while still getting solid performance, does this specific mix, the endorsement, the cloud speed, the simpler management suggest Bluehost is, well, potentially the ideal choice for you?
It suggests a very strong fit, yes. Provided your site's needs fall within what a well-optimized shared or managed WordPress environment can handle, Bluehost appears to have effectively addressed the 2 biggest fears for that user group: the fear of flaky performance tackled by the cloud shift, and the fear of being overwhelmed by technical details tackled by the streamlined UI and the automated features. The sources consistently argue that for someone focused on efficient growth, this particular intersection of authority, speed, and simplicity makes it a highly suitable option.
A really insightful deep dive. We've covered quite a bit. How Bluehost uses that official WordPress nod, the real impact of their cloud upgrade on speed, and how those simplified management tools, like the control panel updates, are designed to help new and scaling sites specifically.
Right. And that leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. If Bluehost, as one of the biggest names in entry-level hosting, is successfully using cloud infrastructure and simplifying the user experience to deliver pretty advanced performance with less hassle, how might that change what we expect from entry-level hosting across the board in the coming years? For serious users, I mean. It suggests the baseline for acceptable performance and usability is rising for everyone. It might force competitors to bundle more advanced features just to keep up. Definitely something to mull over as you plan your next project.